Hi there folks, Tory Favro here, horror author and, well, your reviewer. But today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to be talking about Pinata. This is my book, Pinata. So this is one of my best-selling books. It's sold several, I would say, both digitally and physically. Couple of thousand copies. I'm absolutely blessed that the book has been received as well as it has been. And it's going to be, this review is going to be confronting. It's not a review as such, it's more of an explanation, but just know this is an extreme horror book and it falls into the category known as splatterpunk. So splatterpunk does contain lots of trigger warnings for people who get upset by things. And I do want you to know that Pinata has pretty much every trigger warning. To give you an idea, I did put a warning here. Let's have a look. Okay, so if you don't want to listen to this review, I will be discussing some of the following, not in great detail, but it's to explain why I wrote the book. This is a work of fiction, but it does contain real-life horror that could upset or offend some people. The trigger warnings are child harm, animal harm, mutilation of a corpse, cannibal references, sexual references, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, domestic violence. Now we have that out of the way, Marju is waiting. Okay, so here's your blurb. You're all invited to a party in apartment 4. Make sure that you're hungry. It's going to be crazy. In fact, it's going to be crazy enough for someone to get sanctioned. Marju is planning something big. She loves a great party with nice food and party games, especially pinatas. But with 2 meddlesome kids and a dog that just won't stop yapping, it's taking the shine off her preparations. This hard-hitting book takes you down a rabbit hole. One is not filled with beautiful things and strange situations. This is filled with blood, excrement, and all forms of nastiness. Come with us on a journey right into the centre of madness, but please leave a trail so you'll be able to find your way back. Marju is waiting. And I was lucky enough that I got the blurb written for this book by, I think, legendary splatterpunk author D.E. McCluskey. He wrote, Tory Favro hasn't just written a splatterpunk book, one to shock and disgust you. He's written a journal into darkness. He's the author of the book Zola. And I'll always be grateful that he took the time to read this book. It's a short read. I deliberately did, if you buy the physical version, I deliberately made the text 14 point. There are no chapter breaks. And that's done deliberately. This is a descent into madness, but people have said, how did you come up with that? Because obviously when you meet me, I'm a friendly person, as are most horror authors, guys. They're not their characters. But the story behind Pinata is a personal one, but it is one that I'm going to share with you. So a couple of years ago, my mother passed away. She passed away from cancer, and she was given a prognosis, and oh, it's making me sad, but you'll understand if you've lost someone close to you. So we were told, Mum would probably pass away in October, and that was of 2024. And I started writing a book, and I was sad and upset, and I couldn't show my mum. And I was angry about cancer and what it was doing to her, to our family, the grief process, the grief cycle, and what it was, how it was affecting relationships and how we were looking at Mum toward the end. My mum was, all the way through till the end, a very strong lady, and I miss her dearly. And the book is dedicated to her, and she is a character in the book, albeit a small one. It was kind of funny. I got to tell her, she never wanted to read Pinata. I told her what it was about. She said, I won't read that one, Tory. As it was, she passed away before I finished the book. But she knew that she was a character in it, and she was thrilled about the fact that she would achieve immortality within this book. So if you do read it, and you see that the transcriptionist is Gail Taylor, that is my mum, and that was her maiden name. She shared the same last name as me, Favro. So my mum's in the book, gets to speak in the book, and basically during this period of time, this book is a story of madness and grief, my grief, madness in the book. As I knew that Mum's time was getting closer, I started writing this book. And it was basically written because we lived in an apartment block and the neighbour was not a very nice person. And all I wanted was quiet to grieve and to prepare for my mum's passing. And once she did pass, I just wanted quiet. And the neighbour had seen me, and we had a not a good relationship because I didn't believe that she was very kind to her dog, and she would go for long periods of time and simply leave the dog with an automatic dog feeder. But I couldn't access the dog to even give it company, and that caused problems because eventually I reported the lady because she'd left her dog there for 2 weeks with only an automatic feeder, and the dog barked non-stop. And I'm talking from the moment it woke up to midnight, 1 a.m, bark, and not like we counted it, sometimes barked over 80 times a minute. The only time it would stop barking is to go to sleep. And I just felt bad for it. It's cruel. Animals, dogs are pack animals. They need their pack, and it had no one. Anyhow, once I phoned and reported, our relationship got a lot worse, and she would go out of her way to make my life unpleasant. I'd already explained my mum's dying. I just need quiet to reflect and to be there for my mum and not be too tired. And nothing was done about anything, and her kids would scream, and I didn't, they were screaming to the point it's like we had no idea what was going on. It sounded like an apartment of horrors. And so eventually I wrote a book about a lady who takes her children. She doesn't get along with anyone in the apartment complex. Her dog barks all the time. She's got 2 kids that don't stop screaming. She's going insane. She's riddled with STDs. She's an alcoholic, a drug abuser. And it spiraled from this really bad encounter with a neighbour. Obviously, those things aren't what that neighbour was doing, but that's where the story sparked just this intense dislike for this lady and the fact that she couldn't show any respect for anyone in the apartment block. She cut down trees that were in shared areas. I'm so glad I don't live there anymore. That was down. I live up in the top part of Australia now, in Queensland, and she lives back down in Geelong where I lived. So that is the inspiration behind the book. It is based upon, very loosely based upon a real person with a barking dog and screaming children. In the book, the idea behind the book was to make you feel as though you're going crazy along with Marju as you're reading the book, and it worked. The book has made some people feel nauseous. Some people think it's awesome. It's just a little bit of nasty that keeps selling. I don't market it very well. I probably should. And I hope that this does get some new readers to have a look at it on Amazon. It's also on Kindle Unlimited. But basically, if you are upset by violence, ultra-violence, blood, guts, horrible things, don't read it. It's not the book for you. But I deliberately did a few tricks in the physical version that doesn't come across in the digital one. So I wanted people to think that they were going crazy as they're reading it. And it is, I pretty much can't even, can I read anything? There's so much language in here and everything is just insane. So to give you an idea, I'll just gloss over one of the scenes here, but basically Marju's on a web call with her workplace. She's with her manager and several other people on a Zoom screen. The kids don't know. The dog's barking. There's all sort of cacophony there, and Marju has a mental snap and basically grabs one of the kids and chokes them until they're unconscious. And the office manager sees that and has been trying to sack her for the longest time and get her reported, and recalls a scene where they're at the office Christmas party and one of the kids is sitting on Santa's knee. Santa realises how light the girl is and how malnourished, The present is provided by Marjorie for Santa to give. It's a cylinder. She opens it. The kid opens it, and 2 dead birds fall out, and all she can scream is, "Love birds." Anyhow, she's crazy. And essentially, the manager says, I'm going to report you to child services. And Marjorie leans forward and turns the online meeting off. And then she grabs the kids and turns around, lurching toward them, and says to the children she won't call them. And she gets a metal spatula and goes to work on them. And she says she lifted the tool and descended on the children. They screamed and the dog barked and the dog laughed. Where was the dog? You'll find out if you read it. And basically, who was hurting who? Her children? Did they mean she was hurting the children? She hadn't always meant to. They screamed all the time. The dog barked all the time as well. She rubbed her fingers into her temple. She had a headache. The children shrank against the wall. Her thin face was drawn into a snarl, exposing her teeth. The skin was bruised and raw from her constantly rubbing her face and head. Why wouldn't those kids just shut up? And it just goes downhill from there. It is a story of madness. By the end, you'll feel like you're mad along with Marjorie. And it was a story that they're born of grief and the madness of losing someone who you care about, along with extenuating circumstances and just one truly terrible neighbour. I don't know if you've written anything, but how much your real life circumstances do impact the things that you've written. Or if you've got a diary, maybe you've written something horrible in your diary. But this is a nasty book, and my wife and I designed the cover ourselves, and it was to make sure that even though the book was nasty, a lot of people who write splatterpunk put really grotesque, really confronting graphics onto their covers of their books. I wanted this to be a book that you could read and know how bad it was, but on the outside, no one knew what you were reading. So there's no blood and guts there. Though if you do look very, very carefully at the print, there's lighter pink over the top. You can't probably see it on camera. That's blood splatter, but we just translated it into light pink. In any case, that's the reason why I wrote Pinata. It is my best-selling book, and I'm 3/4 of the way through writing the prequel. It's called Hunters, and it's going quite well. And it's a nasty piece of work, but it shows you just how Marjorie became the crazy antagonist in this book. So that's why I wrote Pinata. I hope you enjoy the insight. I know a lot of you have read it, and I don't think I've ever publicly spoken about it. So that's why I wrote Pinata. Like, subscribe, do the YouTube stuff. I review things, I talk about things, I talk about other people's books, and I hope that you enjoyed that. But yeah, wrote it because my mum was dying and I felt like I had no control. And so I took control by typing a lot of words. I'll see you on the next video.